What role should parents have in the education of their children? Translated into the language of human rights, the question splits into 1. What is the scope of the parental right in education, or how much control parents have over the substance of education? And 2. Is this a negative or a positive right? Which means, who is paying for the education the child receives, the parents or the state? Both questions depend on the relative strength of the parental right vis-à-vis the children's own right to receive education in the interests of the state. My chapter analyzes the parental right as it is established and interpreted in international human rights law. The scope and nature of the parental right in education stirs heated debates among researchers, lawyers, and activists. On the one end of the spectrum, liberal philosophers argue that the very notion of parental rights is misleading. Parents do not have a right to determine what their child studies in school, but only a privilege to do so. This privilege may, and according to this approach, must be substantially limited so as to guarantee a comprehensive liberal education to all children. Scholars on the other end of the spectrum assert that the parent's educational authority is grounded in a fundamental right to decide what contents and values are introduced to their children. The state's role, according to this approach, is limited to fulfilling the parent's will by providing the infrastructure and subsidies that would guarantee the child receives whatever education is chosen by the parents. Most constitutional democratic regimes opt for a middle ground in this debate. They incentivize parents to send their children to a public school and provide partial to no subsidies to alternative education, but determined parents are also able to educate their children in private schools or at home, most often with little to no oversight. As to international law, it recognizes the parental right along with the child's right to education in a way that de facto accommodates the educational systems of most democracies, both those who interpret it very broadly and those who significantly restrict its scope. Yet, in doing so, it provides essential arguments that allow to structure the debate on the balance between the interests of children, their parents, and the state, which I analyze in this chapter.